Hello, everybody. Everybody, hello. Welcome to the November Copy That episode. An episode wherein it is Copy That. That is a episode wherein I, Sean McIntyre, Luke, Rod, Lindsay, and Alex, we all sit around in our various environs and talk about coffee. Not while drinking coffee, though I think Rod is drinking coffee. I have Soylent because I hate my colon. Um, this episode of Copy That is a very special one. And Luke, I think you had a little bit of a teaser that you wanted to build up to for this particular episode.
You're watching right now. Why? Why would you stay? Why would you look at this? Don't you have something better to do with your time? What are we going to be doing today, Sean? What are we going to be discussing today?
Nobody has anything better that they should be doing other than watching this right now, wherein we are going to be talking about holiday campaigns and also seasonal selling. Basically to... Whoa.
All right, Rod. Oh, we don't have to.
He hates seasonal selling and holiday campaigns. What can I say?
Yeah, it's triggering for that dog.
Same.
When I first got into e-commerce as a copywriter, so not doing my own stuff, but just as a copywriter, I quickly learned a couple of cardinal rules, which I've talked about before on these streams, which are whenever I'm going into a business, the first two things I focus on are one, the email list, and are they utilizing it properly? And two, are they running specific landing pages for their ads, i.e. not just sending all of their traffic to the homepage, because sending all of your traffic to the homepage is like the same as organizing a concert for jazz, heavy metal, ska, rock and roll, and the blues, and then just sending everyone to the same stage and being like, hey, you'll probably like what's on there. It doesn't work. You have to give them different angles for what they care about. So those are two things that I really found useful, and I would go into businesses and I would do those two things and things would work really well. I started doing e-commerce copywriting, I think in I want to say March or April of one year. So I spent a good 7 months doing that. And it went pretty well. I had no idea how profitable holidays were when I started. I didn't have a clue. And it was crazy because the good stuff I had done, and I'm not joking here, on average got times by 4. Okay. So the money I'd been making for businesses all of a sudden shot up month to month by about 4 times across the businesses I was consulting with and writing copy for. And I suddenly realized I'm getting commission on, at the time, it was only, I think, 2 of maybe the 6 businesses I was doing work with. But that went up as well. And that was pretty cool. So the reason this episode is so important is because if you were to be a copywriter and specialize in anything or have one thing that you're really, really good at, be good at seasonal selling. Know how to do that, because you know that once or twice a year, if you can also negotiate commission for yourself, your revenue is going to spike. And that feels really good. You can specialize in a lot of things. You can learn a lot of things. But this was the one thing where I really saw for that month, I was like, oh my God, I have thousands of extra dollars here because I have getting so much work and my work is paying off. So I'm really excited for this because I think everyone should know how to write this. You combine this with the other videos where we talk about commission and royalties and pitching. And I think you're set up for a pretty healthy annual salary. So that's kind of why I'm excited about this. I'm sure everyone will be pitching in with their own holidays and seasonal marketing experiences and ideas and thoughts. But I'll very much drive this in terms of e-commerce because I've done a lot of seasonal selling. So guys, I mean, yeah, that's why I'm excited. Are you excited?
I literally, my pants blew off the bottom of my body as you were talking, but that usually happens.
Yeah.
Weird.
Nice.
It's strange. I want to leave the joking aside for a moment because I do have 2 theories about why seasonal selling is, one, so profitable, but also why you see such an uptick around holidays. Like, why? Like, come down to Crazy Ivan's, discount used autos for our Labor Day sale, for our March Madness sale, for our this sale. The first reason why I think seasonal selling is happening, why it's even a thing that matters, is based on Robert Cialdini. He, in the first chapter of his famous book Influence, and the revised version, he talks about a study where they find that persuasion really comes down to just providing any sort of justifiable reason for anything. He talks about the power of the word because. And in this study that he describes in the book, he talks about how researchers would look at a long queue or a long line for like a copy machine at a library. And what the researchers would do is they would cut to the very front of the line, and then they would provide either no reason, hey, do you mind if I get in front of you to use the copy machine? There was the control group where no reason was provided, and then there was the control group where a because was provided. And more often than not, as long as there was a because, people got to use the copy machine ahead of the whole line. Now, more interesting thing about this study, it didn't matter what reason they gave. You could say, literally, one of the things that they would say to get to the front of the line was, I need to get to the front of the line to make copies because I really need to make copies. It was the only controlling factor that led to a statistically significant uptick in being able to cut the line was just using a because clause. And so psychologically, a reason for a thing, providing some sort of justification for anything, is profoundly powerful psychologically for humans. That's why when you read good copy, they don't just like say, this was $10,000, but now it's $5,000, and if you buy today, it's $2,000. No, good copy will actually justify every single stage of that price anchoring. They'll justify every single thing that they are claiming or that they're offering. Good copy provides reasons and facts. So that's something to keep in mind. That's the first thing that I think is going on here when it comes to seasonal selling. The second thing, this again is more observational. I think that money has inertia to it. What does that mean? Inertia just describes objects in motion tend to stay in motion. And if something is at rest, then it takes more energy to get it going. If we're talking about the holidays, especially Labor Day on, like you have Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, maybe sometimes, Christmas, Ramadan. Do you get gifts on Ramadan? I have no idea. Like there's a proliferation of holidays in the fourth quarter of the year, the latter part of the year, that are all driven by consumption. Everybody and their mother has already pulled out their wallet for stuff. They are already in the mood to buy. People save their money throughout the year just to afford being able to buy stuff. And so, like, in addition to Black Friday, that is a day that's just entirely based around consumption. And one thing that I've noticed is the best time to sell somebody something or more of something is when they've already pulled out their wallet. The inertia, the momentum of spending has already occurred. And you can get more money from somebody by just tapping into that existing momentum. And so I think that that's one of the things that's going on here psychologically, that people are just in a mood to keep spending on stuff because that's what they've been culturally habituated to. Again, no studies on that I've read. That's just a theory. What do you guys think of those?
The first point, of course, I think is we've spoken about before. It's universally accepted and has been proven time and time again. I think that the latter point you made about momentum being, I think, definitely anecdotally and statistically, just from my point of view, that's very much true in that the best customers are the ones who have just bought. That sounds really stupid to say out loud, but they are, statistically speaking, your most valuable customers because they're more likely to buy again. What do I mean by that? How recently has someone bought? The more recently they bought, the more likely they are to buy again, just statistically speaking. So there is that case of, because I've trusted something with my money and I'm giving it away and I'm showing that I am willing to do something for it, I'm more likely to do so again. because I've proven to myself recently that it was okay. And it's almost meta justifying yourself, because you say, well, I've already done this. I don't want to feel like an idiot. Therefore, I'm going to spend more to prove that I'm not an idiot. It's a really trying not to swear, because I know Noah has to edit all that out. It's a really fudged psychological thank you, tick that we have. I always draw the analogy to, often when someone has bought a book and they've started reading a book, rarely do people say books were bad, unless you're Sean. Rarely people say books are bad after they finish reading it, because they don't want to feel like an idiot for having invested all that time, which is why so often after people have watched films and read books, they'll be like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. Because it's like recency bias, because it's the most recent thing you've done. Therefore, you don't mind doing something again, and you want to feel like you justify the decision you've made. So people buy again and again. So I definitely agree. I think momentum is a big factor in driving more sales, especially around the season when there is that justification for it. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with both of you guys. And I have another reason, I guess, and it overlaps a tiny bit with what Sean was saying with his first reason. But I think that there is a kind of like socio-cultural priming that we do around certain holidays, such that like people will feel validated for spending around that time. So like Valentine's Day is a good example of this, where like you are a good person if you buy your romantic partner or your date or whatever a gift on this day, especially even if it's the same gift you might have bought them on a different day. And so by sort of incentivizing, or by telling people, hey, you will feel good, or you're a good person if you just pull out your wallet in this way, on this specific day, I think it makes it a little bit easier for people to participate in that, even beyond just here's a reason. It's also here's like an emotional thing that you can believe without a whole bunch of friction, because everyone around you is saying it and everyone else participates in it.
I don't have any experience writing around holiday stuff like this. So, I'm curious to see how you're going to stand out in the noise, because while I think that there is, everything that Sean and Rod have said, I absolutely agree with. If all marketers are operating under the assumption that this is like the absolute best time to sell, everybody's getting hit with holiday offers. And I'm just, I'm curious to know how you're going to stand out in that.
I also don't really have a lot of experience with seasonal offers, but that's because I'm doing more B2B stuff. And for me, the holidays kind of mean longer sales cycle because people aren't there to take on meetings, right? So like for me, it's a totally different perspective. Like for me, see, like the holidays or Christmas or summer holidays are just like points of delay. But like I'd really like to hear, especially yours, Alex, your perspective, because you're so deeply rooted in e-commerce. It's going to be very interesting to hear what you guys have to say. As to those two things, I definitely think money has momentum. The moment you pay for something or the moment you buy, you're more likely to buy. I think people love buying stuff anyway. So if you give a justification to buy the thing you want to buy, of course you're going to buy it. So I definitely think what you guys said made a lot of sense. And yeah, I'd be very, very excited to hear what you guys have to say more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely kind of just crack into seasonal selling 101 if everyone's happy for me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You are the most experienced of all of us here. I have some actual financial offers that I wrote that worked, that were seasonal offers themselves, that sold a very expensive back-end financial newsletter. And I'd love to share those with you to explain like the sort of the logic, not only of renewal offers to begin with, but also like how I wrote that into a seasonal, I guess, style. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, seasonal offers and seasonal campaigns work best for things that people want to buy. Like if there's a lawnmower, I don't know why I chose lawnmower. I don't know, a weed whacker that you've been wanting all year. But you're like, no, I know it's going to be on sale at Labor Day or for Black Friday or for this or for this. Like people think that way. And so they will literally withhold purchasing things just for these sales. And so like, yes, there is some momentum that info publishers and info marketers could tap into there, but ultimately like this is this is the purview of e-commerce. And most of the folks watching this, well, if you're getting jobs like gigs that you're either cold pitching or via Upwork, chances are, statistically, you are probably going to be writing one of these seasonal offers for one of the businesses that would be hiring you.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people like save up money to buy the next financial newsletter. Like on Black Friday.
I do think though that touches on something that's really interesting, because if you are in a market that kind of sucks in the wintertime when we have all of these like reasons to buy, you end up having to engage in what is effectively like season making, where you have to create an event and build it up in people's minds such that they feel that same sort of like buying permission or pressure as someone might around that Christmas time. And so I think lawnmowers are actually a great example of this, because it is so not sexy to buy a lawnmower in December if you live somewhere where there's a ton of snow, because you're gonna get that as a gift, you're gonna give that as a gift, and the person can't use it for half a year. And so if you are, I don't know, lawnmower company, you have to come up with a reason, some sort of fake holiday like 4th of July special, to be like, hey, this is the time of year where you really need this thing, and you're a great person if you buy now, or give this to someone now. Obviously, the gift giving aspect of it changes a little bit, but they do have to kind of build it up as this is the time of the year where you do this thing and where everyone else is doing this thing. Elections are a similar. Yeah,
it's actually a really, really, really good point. Because and for another reason as well, which is the sales of most things go up around Black Friday. There are probably things that don't go up and stay the same, but most things just go up. However, what you're saying, Rod, is so true, because a lot of companies, and I've seen this happen, they will bank on Black Friday a little bit, and they will try and almost, this sounds bad, but they kind of think people are smarter than they actually are. And they go like, oh, we'll do, for example, a big discount on lawnmowers. And we'll say to people like, oh, be smart and like buy it now, and beat everyone else. And logically that makes sense, because it's like, oh, because people like to feel smart. But in reality, like, people, if they're not worrying about something right now, they won't really buy it. It's very, I've seen companies who aren't natural Black Friday sellers try to do that, and of course their sales will go up, just because you're giving a discount, you're giving a reason, it's always going to go up a little bit, but never to the extent in which they hope, in which they see other companies go up to, because as you say, they see what everyone else is doing, they go, right, it's near Christmas, it's Black Friday, it's Cyber Monday, whatever, we're going to like drop the price loads and we'll get loads of people buy. But you're absolutely right. Actually, what they should be doing is almost creating their own reason to sell at some point, when people are more thinking about the thing. Because there's almost two elements. There's how much are people already thinking about what you have, and then how attractive are you making the offer to buy right now. We talk about the stages of awareness a lot. It's almost that. It's people need to themselves get to that product aware phase of like, oh, I understand that there's this thing that'd be cool. Then from there, you need to take them over the line of, well, hey, here's why you buy it right now. And really what they're doing is they're doing this latter bit over here of saying, hey, it's a really great offer, when people aren't even like in the solution aware stage yet. Really, they're not even thinking about it. We're not going to use stages of awareness for everything there, but they're helpful, especially for beginners who I know already understand that term. It's a helpful way to kind of picture it. But anyway, I think something to preface the rest of this conversation, something that's important to understand, and I talk about that in a masterclass I did a few weeks ago on the Copy That Patreon, where I was doing a masterclass on product pages, on e-commerce product pages, and I spoke about landing pages and sales pages and what's the difference between all of them in e-commerce. I spoke about the concept of expectations, and people have set expectations now, especially buying online, and that's very, very similar with Black Friday, in that there is an expectation now that every business is going to run a Black Friday campaign. Thank Amazon for that. Whether you love them or you hate them, they have set this. I know it was a thing before Amazon, but they have absolutely perfected it in the digital space. So honestly, if I was going to point you anywhere to say, hey, go and learn Black Friday, go to Amazon, like buy stuff from Amazon, see the emails they send out, look at how they create banners and stuff like that, because they're very, very good at it. But why I want to highlight expectations is because you really don't need to overcomplicate this. You don't need to make crazy convoluted campaigns and think that there is 50 secret, like deep dark secrets that make a Black Friday campaign brilliant. It is a case of people expect there to be prices that are lowered. You just need to set that expectation with them, reassure them it's coming, and then give it to them. But the thing that really annoys me is that before this, I had a Google of Black Friday strategies. I've done it before. I've looked at how other people do seasonal selling. And I went through maybe about 5 or 10 articles. And pretty much all of them, there was only one that kind of verged into anything else. Pretty much all of them just give very generic e-commerce advice, which is make sure your store is optimized, like send an email out, like make sure loading speeds are good. It's like, yeah, okay, that's all good advice, but that you could say that any time of the year. And I think the reason for that is because really not many people understand Black Friday beyond just give a discount. And to an extent, that's fine. Like I said, you don't want to overcomplicate it, but there are 3 or 4 very important concepts that if you want to go beyond and you really want to be like the Black Friday copywriter who companies swarm to, who your commissions are going to take a major hike upwards because you have sold a lot more products. Those are things I want to focus on now. I don't want to just regurgitate a bunch of generic e-commerce advice. So before I dive into that, anyone got any responses, replies to anything I've just set up there?
It sounds like it's more like an amplifier, right? It's like why focus on the generic stuff if you should be doing that anyway? Like, so it's interesting, like that you're willing to bring some, secrets to the table that are actually related to Black Friday and how you can improve your store or improve the copy you're doing or marketing for an e-commerce business during Black Friday. Would you say it's also for other holidays, or like what you're about to, like the principles you're about to share? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that, again, Rod spoke about it, Sean touched on it, in the case of justification. If there's a reason for you to be doing something, then do it. But Black Friday is that universal one now, where it is everyone knows there's going to be deals around Black Friday. It just is. There's the expectation there. So that's when you'll find a lot of companies do it. And I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say it, it's just true. If you're not doing any Black Friday promotions, then you are really going to miss out. Some companies just go like, oh, I won't bother doing anything. This, like, everyone's doing it. And Lindsay, you mentioned this, which is, standing out from the crowd. Some people decide to stand out from the crowd by not participating. This is one of those cases where you need to get in with the rabble. Like, you need to get down and dirty and just go with the crowd. Be one of the sheep, because it does work and you're just going to be pissing away money otherwise. I've yet to see someone do something very different that has worked outside of giving discounts. I've seen people like bundle stuff and do stuff for free. Sean?
The most obvious thing that comes to mind in terms of like something that's very different that definitely worked is actually a brand campaign as opposed to a direct response campaign. A lot of brand campaigns, they will do some wild stuff around holidays. Like, obviously there's the sort of woke virtue signaling of like, every company wears a rainbow flag for Pride Month to attract money by appearing to be progressive. The same thing happens with pretty much every other holiday. Like, I've seen Cesar Chavez Day sales. Like, come on. Like, that's ridiculous. Anyway, but like all that aside, one earned media campaign comes to mind immediately. And I believe it was for Labor Day, but somebody can fact check me on this. But Taco Bell put out an ad agency for Taco Bell put out an ad, which basically said, hey, everybody, we just bought the Liberty Bell, and we are renaming it the Taco Liberty Bell. You're welcome, America. Go to your local Taco Bell for, Labor Day. Like, there was no discount. There was no, like, special deal. It was just, like, all, like, yeah, hey, we're Taco Bell. We're renaming the Liberty Bell the Taco Liberty Bell. Which, for those of you not in America, the Liberty Bell is just a bell. It's just a bell with a crack in it. It's somewhere, I think, in Philadelphia or Pennsylvania generally. Is it?
It's Philadelphia.
It's Philadelphia. I can't believe I remembered that. Anyway, so yeah, and it's like a whole symbol of freedom and democracy peeling out across the land. But also there's a crack in it to remind us that democracy is always flawed and needs to be constantly improved. Anyway, the amount of fervor and anger around this seasonal campaign, this Taco Liberty Bell campaign, people went bananas. People were calling into radio shows. Newscasters were talking about it. It got a lot of attention. And like a lot of negative attention, but also a lot of like, oh, that's a good joke. I remember it was an April Fool's Day seasonal thing. And yeah, so regardless of the amount of like controversy it stirred up, it brought people's attention up around that time for Taco Bell. And then here's how brand advertisers measure the success of their campaigns. They look at same store sales. Was there a month-to-month increase after this ad campaign came out based upon certain localities? Brand advertisers named Brad are actually pretty sophisticated when it comes to measuring the success of their campaigns. And this was definitely a success. Even though it brought a lot of negative attention, it was a very good early example of what's called earned media, which is where you put out an ad and then you don't spend any money on it. You know, like that's toxic for direct response people. But people like it so much and are so engaged by it that they willingly and freely share it with all of their friends. And they forward it in long email chains, and they post it on Facebook, and all of this fun stuff. That's how earned media works. And whenever you see an ad that's meant to be funny, that's what they are trying to get you to do. They want you to share it because they don't want to spend money on broadcasting it to the world. And if you look for seasonal ads that are coming out that are like amusing or entertaining, that's what they're trying to get you to do. Just like the Taco Liberty Bell campaign was trying to, like, it was a seasonal campaign around April 1st that was trying to get you to pay attention to Taco Bell. And it worked. So
I'm going to add a caveat. Unless you're writing for Taco Bell, then you must not, you must take advantage of Black Friday. I also have just, you talk about that, I've also just remembered, I think it was, okay, I could be getting it wrong. It was either, oh God, what's that game called with the cats on the cards? Like Exploding Kittens? Is that it? Exploding Kittens? Right. It was either them or it was Cards Against Humanity. I can't remember which one it was. It was a card game. They did I think it was Black Friday or Christmas. I need to remember this so I can have better anecdotes. But they did an anti like Black Friday campaign where they did, instead of taking money off, they said, right, everything is like $10 more for the weekend. And that got a lot of attention. And I believe their sales spiked a bit because people thought it was funny and they would like do it. So yeah, I'm sure if you Google Exploding Kittens Black Friday campaign, it'll be out there, or Cards Against Humanity. But yeah, so there are exceptions. However, if you're a copywriter and you want to earn money and you want to impress a client, don't risk being funny. Do what you know works.
I was about to ask, like, should I be funny as a copywriter? Is that the way to go, or is that not a good idea?
I mean, I am, but that's more of a looks thing than anything else. So, you know, your mileage may vary. Yeah, like direct response and like the typical things that work, funny is actually risky. I brought that up because we were talking about seasonal campaigns, and like other parts of the year where people can have campaigns that are not based on a discount but still deliver good results. The Taco Liberty Bell gag campaign was just an example of that. And if you go to youtube.com/copythat, you'll actually see the interview that I did. We have the full extended interview for patreon.com/thecopythatshow. My interview with Jason Bagley. He was the creative director for, I think, the biggest advertising agencies in America. He was the creative director for the biggest ad agency in America, White & Kennedy. And we talked about humor and the role of humor in advertising. And I brought up like my reservations about using humor in campaigns. And he was just like, this isn't 1922 anymore. It's okay to be funny. Sometimes. So
Yeah, I don't want to take us down a tangent, so I'm gonna put a full stop at the end of this. But like, it's weird because that's copy advice I see very often online, which is be funny, be humorous. And I don't agree with it personally because it's always safer to be clear than it is to try and be funny. I think if you can be funny naturally while being clear, sure, it might makes your copy a bit more fun to read. But ultimately, I don't think it's worth people trying to be funny when there's an easier route. Anyway, so Black Friday. This first technique, I guess, this first method, this first concept I'm going to share with you, this alone is going to make you a better Black Friday copywriter than probably anyone else, or like 95% of people who write for Black Friday campaigns. So if you're a copywriter, especially if you're working with a business where you can suggest campaign ideas and what you do, here's what you do. Most Black Friday campaigns work like this. This is the wrong way to do it, if you like, okay? Most Black Friday campaigns work like, hey, it's Black Friday. There are some products that we're going to have on offer. There's a 20% discount on these ranges. Here's an email. Cool, it's going to end on this date. Go buy. That's what most Black Friday campaigns are. That's it. If you want to go a step much further than that, here's what you do. Use a concept that I call clumping. So clump product groups. Don't just go, right, what are all the products we want to put on offer? Let's put them like on offer and let's just be done with it and they're just there. Over the month of November, you need to build up what you're offering until you get to a point where like almost everything is on sale and it's crazy good. That works far better than just saying, hey, here's a stagnant range. Why? Two reasons for this. One, you are engaging with people more frequently about new things. So they're no longer like, oh, well, I already know everything's 20% off, stop bugging me. Because you're always introducing new things to them. And as we know, novelty drives the economy. So it means that, hey, there's going to be something new. I'm going to keep checking. I'm going to keep opening these emails because it might be something that I really like. And two, it's building towards something big. Like it feels like something huge is coming. So when you drop it, even if it's not that big, but you have been building up to it, and that would have been your Black Friday offer anyway, it gets a far bigger footfall of people actually going to it and being like, oh my God, right, this was the big reveal. Just like how in Christmas calendars, which I assume are a thing in the US, I've never stopped to think about that, right? Okay, yeah, cool, like the chocolate ones, advent calendars. Just like how you've got, 25 doors and you open them, you get chocolate, and sometimes the Christmas Day one is like bigger and you're excited for that one. It's the same thing. Like it's more and more like, oh my God, building up to it. I want to get to it. So this concept of clumping, there is no right way to do it in the sense of I don't know all of the product ranges you're going to be working with, but generally speaking, here's how you do it. You first of all, establish what the big offer is going to be. What is the big thing? What are the margins that you can go down to that your client is prepared to say, right, okay, yeah, I'll go down to 40% off on this, and I'll deliver free shipping, which is something else we'll talk about. But decide that first of all. That's going to be the big thing that you're building up to. Until then, and then say, right, other ranges, other products, what else could you give a discount on? Work it out. Just keep working out, keep working out, keep working out. Then you should have, I always suggest, especially if you've got a store that's selling a fair few products, try and do this for between 10 and 50 products. So that should give you an idea of how many products that you have. If you're only running with 10 products, do it with all 10 products. The stuff outside of that main offer, that's the stuff you're going to be building up with. Now, important point to note, maybe this is a bit of ethics with me as well, but I've never seen evidence suggest this is a bad thing. I don't suggest that you start something at, say, 20% off and then drop it to 50% off later on if you've kind of told everyone that it's only going to be 20% off, because you piss off a lot of people that way in your list who have already bought. So that may be better. It may be better if you do that revenue wise, but I don't think it's worth the risk personally, especially if you're doing this with people who buy from you a lot. So once you've set a discount on something, like keep it as that. for Black Friday for this campaign, because otherwise the stuff that you do towards the end of the month and the next year is not going to have the same welly. So once you've set like, right, this thing is going to be 20% off, state to your whole list, say like, right, the next 20 days, next 30 days leading up to Black Friday, so start in November, like the next however many days leading up to Black Friday, we're going to be releasing a brand new offer like every single day or every other day. Do that. That's so powerful. And make sure you say like, if you want to get really advanced, then you say that these things are probably only going to be in stock for X number of days after this. So you say this has limited quantity. Like that's fine to say, because you're not making anyone lose out in that case. And then at the end, you can say we're bringing in extra stock of everything on the last day. That's a little bit more advanced. So maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that just now. But the point is, you say, right, for the next tomorrow we're announcing this, and then 2 days later we're announcing this, 2 days later we're announcing this. So you might get a good like 10 products there that you can build up with. And another thing that you should try to do is build up the offers as well, like make them feel better and better, because when you get to that last one, it's going to be like, oh my God, what is this going to be? So even if you start the first one, just like a 5% off, like a fairly like high ticket product, or whatever, even 5% off like a low ticket product is fine, just something that's okay. But then you go to like, right, this is 9% off. Now it's 11, now it's 15, now it's 20, now it's 25, now it's 30. Then you jump to 40. And it's like, okay, right, tomorrow or in 2 days' time, it's like the big weekend reveal. So make sure, and you can say, look, we can't believe how much interest we've got. You know, we weren't really prepared for all this, so it's probably going to go quite quickly tomorrow. So we're going to upload it. We're going to make sure we're going to upload the stock and set the price at 10 a.m. like Eastern time. So make sure you jump on then.
So you mentioned a few times like the time. I have just a general question about the timelining of all of this. Like you mentioned the first conversation with your client, we were basically doing an inventory of like, what are our Black Friday items? Like when does that conversation happen? I'm guessing it's like way far in advance because you got to write the campaigns, right? And then like how does the timelining work with staggering offers? Are you like, so you said rolling out something every week, and then are you just like increasing the discounts and making everything sexier up until the final one? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, pretty much. So in terms of when to start, I think the one thing I'll say is because, for example, I've done this with a brand that sold toothbrushes and like just dental equipment. And I've done this with a brand that sold hot tubs. Obviously, there's only so much you can sell when it comes to hot tubs. Whereas dental equipment has a ton of different things that you can buy, and you know, like toiletry stuff. So there's always going to be like a different range of how many things you can actually offer this on. So there's no perfect sequence to say, right, you do it every day. What I suggest is that you broach the conversation 2 months in advance. Really, is when you should be kind of getting this ready. If you're really, really clever, you'll do it 6 months before and say, hey, let's sort out Black Friday now, so we haven't got to do it then. Like, let's just discuss what we're going to be doing. But at least 2 months before, just talk to your client, if you're in this position, and just say, what are you prepared to offer for Black Friday? Are there any red lines? If there are no red lines for them, then what you do is you try and get every product on the store in that Black Friday sale. Not joking. Like if they're prepared to do a discount for everything, you do a discount for everything, and that be your big like weekend deal. And usually I say try and focus it somewhere. So if there's a product you know is like the best seller, then have that one be an even better discount, and it gets free shipping, and we'll throw in something else or whatever. But in terms of actually deciding what you can do, always check with them first, a couple months before. If they're going to let you do everything, then do everything. This is where clumping comes into it. Try to clump in terms of product group, like what is that product? Don't clump with random stuff. The biggest reason for this, and I've done this, I kind of thought it wouldn't make a difference. I don't know if this is the case, but my hypothesis is that well, I'll tell you what happens first. What happens when you clump random items all together and you're doing this kind of strategy? What happens is that people aren't like, they don't want to look through every single thing to find the thing that they want. They just want to kind of see immediately, is this something I want right now? So instead clump items by the problem it's solving. For example, say like, right, this is the week where like toothbrush heads are going to be like crazy good offer. Because then anyone who's like, oh my God, that's what I've been waiting for, I'm going to jump on that. Amazon can get away with it because people are used to going to Amazon to look at offers. That's why Amazon can get away with it. If you're a single store and you're doing this to a list of people, then you need to show them immediately what is good and what you're selling. Because like you said, Lindsay, it's very hard to stand out.
Yeah, and you want to make a decision around whether or not to buy, because like you're presumably tapping into this momentum, right? As opposed to like, which one do I want to buy? Which thing do I like? Kind of diffusing that decision when you give them options, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it causes confusion, and then ultimately they don't buy, I would imagine. Yeah. Are you like, what's the biggest target opportunity? Are you speaking to returning customers? Are you pushing people to buy who have bought with you already to buy more? Is that the biggest opportunity? Or is it to talk to people who don't know who you are?
Yeah. So on average, and I have to say average here, I think I've done Black Friday selling with about 10 to 15 stores, probably around that, multiple years. And on average, I would say like the mode average, because some like stores are just kind of way out of whack because of what they're selling. On Black Friday, about 35 to 40% of sales are from new people, not from people who bought before, which is crazy big, like crazy
Awesome.
big.
I wasn't expecting. Yeah,
I know, right? Like it's stupid. And I think that's because you get the people who would have been customers before Black Friday, but nothing's quite pushed them over the edge yet. But as we were discussing, people get that Black Friday fever where they're like, oh, Black Friday's coming up. Hey, maybe I'll fork out and buy this thing. So this is where I'll jump ahead a little bit, just so this makes sense for the conversation we're having now, which is we discussed like how far before Black Friday do you start to work out what you do. I think at least a couple of months, just understand. I don't want to get too much into the logistics because I'm really starting to like e-commerce logistics, and I don't want to bore everyone on a copywriting stream about it. But just in case you are in that position, there are a lot of logistics and operational planning that needs to go into Black Friday, especially with stock management, especially with things like SKUs, SKUs, and that. But basically, if you're bundling a new offer or something's going to be a discount, the people who are managing the store need to know that in advance, because sometimes there's a lot of bureaucracy around making those changes on stores. So make sure you have it planned at least a couple of months and notify the right people. But I won't go too deep into that right now. Sean, please don't get me on a wormhole now.
I won't. I just wanted to mention that that's true in a lot of direct response businesses too. Like if you wanted to create like a bespoke like Black Friday offer that's like a bundle of different stuff, like even if you work at a newsletter corporation, that they still need to create a SKU, create a product code, create something that they can sell. So there are logistics that go into this. So if you are a copywriter who's not only coming up with the campaign idea, which the idea is buy before Black Friday, get money off, but there's also like the logistical, like you need to prepare the production team for the fact that you're going to be selling this bundle of things. They need to do some stuff on their end. So make sure that that's always done in advance.
Yeah, 100%.
Alex, have you ever analyzed the sort of the retention rate of those new customers that come in through Black Friday? Are they like one-off buyers, or do you like see a significant proportion that actually stays and purchases again from the store?
They are not as good a customer as people who come in outside of Black Friday, put it like that.
Okay.
I wish I could throw numbers at you, but I genuinely can't remember. But I do know that they are definitely not as good. And you will find that things like plateau out after that a little bit. But there is certainly a spike, and customer numbers do stay up, like more so than they were before. So yeah, that is a really good point, because there is definitely some retention that happens there. Nice way to battle churn for sure. So there's a logistics side, but also Lindsay, you were talking about, how much before do you prepare? And there's this idea among at least some Black Friday sellers that you should like be actively messaging your list like 2 months in advance to get them excited about Black Friday. I personally have never seen that like work. I guess I've never seen like, again, because people don't care about the thing unless it's in front of them. I think people just, again, they're using logic and they're going like, oh, letting people know so they can plan, but like it's not really how it works. Like people aren't thinking 2 months in advance. Something that does work though, and something you should think about, and I don't see a lot of people kind of talk about this, which is build up your list before Black Friday gets here. So in the month leading up to Black Friday, you want to do a lot of list building. List building is another topic we could go into a lot, but for if you're doing brand partnerships with other companies, if you're giving away lead magnets, if you are selling tripwire offers, so things that are very, very low ticket, before November is kind of the time where you want to be doing that. One, because October is one of the worst months for e-commerce outside of January, February, and March. So like you often get fewer people buying anyway. So you want to give them very, very kind of low ticket things to just try and get more and more people in. And when you have those people in, there's nothing wrong with teasing what's coming. There's nothing wrong with that. I can't say one way or the other whether that's going to be amazing or not, but there's nothing wrong with just saying, by the way, just a quick reminder, next month, we're going to have some crazy deals. Like we know, and you can be pretty like nonchalant about it, I guess, and just kind of be like, guys, look, we're usually pretty good for this kind of stuff, and we know people get all hyped about Black Friday, but seriously, next month we're gonna have something crazy. So just kind of be warned about that. One thing I've seen work well is if you the week before or the early week of November, if you send an email to your whole list and say, hey, click here if you want to know about our Black Friday offers. Those people who click that then tend to buy at far higher conversion rates during that month. But anyway, the reason that we're doing this kind of clumping strategy throughout November is because what you were talking about, Lindsay, that kind of almost replaces the preparation. Because most people are just thinking about, hey, there's going to be one weekend where we're going to have a Black Friday deal. Let's keep emailing and getting people excited for that. But actually, if you instead take the whole month of November just as, all right, let's do some crazy deals, and let's be building up one step at a time. Not only are you getting people excited for that Black Friday offer, not only are you building your list, but also you're selling more as a result. Again, your margins aren't going to be as good initially, but as Luke pointed out, with retention rates afterwards and just more exposure, if you like, that people are having to your store, you're going to sell more. Because want to know another thing that goes up during Black Friday? Average order value, that goes up. So even though, yes, people are spending less on items, per item, the average order value will likely go up for your store because people go, hey, I'm going to buy more stuff, which means people spend more. Where's the logic in that? But, so clumping is a very, very useful strategy. Go by product groups, by problem, or by what it is. Ask your client how many that you can do. Do it. I always recommend try to do it something every 1 to 3 days. Emailing every day is totally 100% fine, especially if you have a loyal customer base, especially if it's something that people really care about. If it's something functional, we've spoken about this in my e-commerce adventure, if it's something purely functional, then emailing someone every single day in November is probably not a great strategy because people are like, well, I don't care about shower curtains right now, so I'm just going to unsubscribe. But if it's a passion-based business, then like go for it. Email every single day and show, hey, here are these new offers. But space it out. That's the most important thing. Space it out relative to how many clumps that you can have. So even if you only have 5 things or 4 things and you're doing it each week, that's 100% fine. Just let people know that, hey, something else even better is coming. You want to be emailing at least twice a week, even if one of those emails is just building up the next one and reminding people about the last one. So clumping is a great strategy for Black Friday. I don't see a lot of people talk about it. So that's number one. I know I spoke about that for a while. So if you guys got any more questions about that, because I could geek out on this for a good another 2 hours.
No, I mean, we all came into this knowing that this was going to be an Alex episode. And so like you have the floor.
I
Please.
actually have another question. I am curious how much of the selling happens after the holiday.
Ooh.
As in, like, how many?
As in like, I mean, we see this around like Halloween, Christmas, especially. I think people are expecting post-holiday discounts. You know what I mean? Like the holiday has passed of things that, you know, I mean, it's more for like stuff that's like super seasonal, like Christmas decor, Halloween costumes or whatever. A lot of that stuff goes on like super steep discount after the holiday. I'm curious if like the, you know, maybe it's not relevant for the products that you work on, because toothbrushes, for instance, like that's not super specific to any holiday. But have you worked in niches that have seen kind of like a post-holiday spending spree, or is that typically not something you've experienced with your type of products that you're doing?
I would say, so for example, I've worked with clothing brands a couple of times. And one thing I would say on that is that we go back to expectations, which is in the UK, for example, I work with a relatively upmarket clothes brand who do, I have some of their socks actually in that drawer, like very nice. But like in the UK, we have Boxing Day sales. I don't know if Boxing Day is a thing anywhere else in the world. It's Boxing Day is the 26th of December. So it's the day after Christmas. And that's when everyone is expecting a discount. So in the UK, when I was working on with this brand, Beaufort, worked very well because there was that expectation there. Post Black Friday, I've never done like discounts post Black Friday. And I think the reason I've done that is because I have always subscribed to the idea of don't you know, blow the load, if you like, and then continue to blow it, because it's like, well, where's the real FOMO then? You need to have some cutoff point. So I think whenever there's an expectation for it, that's fine. So you'll find that loads of businesses do that in January, loads, because January is just the worst month for e-commerce. So everyone is especially trying to, again, things people don't think about, like as copywriters, but everyone is trying to get rid of stock in January. So like they will do massive discounts. So you'll see some spikes there. But I feel like I haven't done enough of that to answer that question enough. I don't know if, Sean, is that something that happens in the product info world?
No, and there's a reason for that I'll get into when I talk about how holiday discounts are used in the financial and info publishing space, especially for like products where there's no sort of like nascent desire for them. But I just thought, like, if I were an e-commerce writer and I was trying to come up with like Black Friday and other campaigns and deals and stuff like that, I would do what you said. I would use clumping and I would look at ways to ascend the order and the impact of the discounts that I'm offering, and like use that sort of like trail of breadcrumbs, like referring to what people saw and then referring to what people are going to experience next. But the one thing that I would do that I've seen work really well in info publishing is after the deadline, have a, oh my God, I forgot this thing, sort of like soft reopening of the deadline. Like, so for example, if you, you know, have a series of products and you're, you know, offering a discount on 50 products at your store, take one relatively high ticket-ish item, like something where the margins are really good. What I would do is I would actually reserve that for like after Black Friday or after Cyber Monday, like when everybody's like sort of calmed down and like all the buying frenzy is sort of like dropped to a little bit. What I would do is I would come back and be like, oh, nuts. We totally forgot that we meant to offer an enormous discount on this crazy item that everybody wants. We completely botched this. Like, please, I found an order form for this that still has the Black Friday discount on it. Please go to that order form before my production team remembers to take the discount off. You only have a few days left to do that. And then, yeah, there you go. That's exactly like how I would do like a post holiday deadline discount offer.
I'm sure that would work. And I mean, we do that. So I work with the sales team as well and do consulting with them. And like, that's exactly what we do with sales. Like it'll be like, hey, there's this limited time offer. It ends today. It's like, oh, okay, well, we know everyone's been busy because we just got back from this event, so we're going to extend it a little. We're like, oh my God, I totally forgot also to give you this information pack. So, we're going to extend it for 2 more days, just to give you a chance to read through it. So yeah, I've never done that with e-commerce. Never done that sneakiness. So maybe that's something to try this year.
There's another thing, a cool thing you could do there too, that might be more applicable to e-commerce too, where like, if you have a really like hotcakes item that everyone wants, where like maybe sometimes it's sold out, you could absolutely afterwards be like, hey, we found some extra inventory and like, we don't know how long we're going to have it, but
I've done that.
Yeah, like that'd be super cool.
Okay, maybe I'm being a hypocrite. I have done that. I wasn't even thinking that's the same thing, but yeah, that is something that is, I think I even mentioned it earlier on. Like you say like, oh, look, we've got more stock that like it's just arrived. 100% do that. Yeah. Again, that justification, it comes in. I just saying you have to get rid of something as well. Oh God, that works so well. Like just bundling like a bulk package of whatever you have. Okay, I love this. I don't think I've talked about this on stream. Company called Groom. If anyone's heard of them, e-commerce soap company. They do like body wash, soap, shampoo, that kind of stuff. GRUM or GRUUM. They do something that I really, really love, and it's just super smart for so many reasons. But as an upsell, what they will do, they'll sell soap. But as an upsell, what they'll do is the bits that are offcuts when they're making like the rectangular bar of soap, they will sell those in like a bulk package, but for a discount, because it's like, just kind of the tidbits that come off afterwards. And it's so great because like the way they frame it is, get the stuff that like is like supernatural because we haven't like cut this at all in any way. It just was the stuff we didn't use. So it's exactly the same, but we'll give you discounted because we know like not everyone likes that. But most people go like, fuck yeah, I like that. It's the same thing. And it's a crazy good deal. I love that. And I've done that kind of thing where it's like, we have to sell this, otherwise it's just gonna go in the bin. We did one where it was like we had a chocolate flavor of this this snack, and we were like, the manufacturer sent us like an extra pallet. So we're just kind of giving these away for a small discount because we didn't actually plan on having this. Works super well. So yeah, good point. So maybe I am a sneaky boy.
It's marketing. So it pays off to be a sneaky boy. That discussion, the sort of like the broken discount that's still up just for a limited time, that hook actually came from one of the best renewal offers that I ever read. I think that would be really applicable for like a seasonal offer too, or at least would be worth testing. Like for example, Alex, this could be something that you could test, but here was the hook from the original renewal. And I thought this was so sneaky and it worked so well, but also it was actually legitimate. Like they didn't make this up. Like, so what happened was a copywriter saw that like online, like searchable by Google, there was a sales letter that had gone dead for a product, a financial newsletter, like 2 or 3 years before, and the order form was still active for it. Normally in financial, we pull these things down because it's a constant revolving door of promotions. There's no really like any attention paid to evergreen offers. And so what this copywriter did, and I thought this was genius, like, what he did was he said, yo, we f***ed up. Sorry, Noah. F***ed up. We left a broken order form up with 2017 prices. We've hiked the price like 4 times since then, but you can still access that. So if you like, so I've been yelling at my team all day. It takes them some time to like actually fix these things though, and take these order forms down. So here's what I want to do, because I want to make this up to you, because I'm actually very embarrassed about this. Go to that order form and you can get a however long subscription to this product at the discounted prices from 5 years ago, as opposed to paying this amount that you would have to pay now. And so that worked like gangbusters. It was like an amazingly good renewal campaign, and they've sort of like knocked it off, and it's become a little less, how should I say, above board since then, where like now it's a strategy. Like now that hook is a strategy. And they reuse it again and again because it works so well. I imagine you could probably do that not only with like a holiday campaign, hey this, but also like you could probably have some fun with that, like how to get access to this product for pre-inflation prices.
Mm.
Like, oh, we had like an old broken order form for this product that had our prices from before the crazy 2022 inflation spike. Like, imagine getting your weird soap bars that are poorly cut, but like for 2019 prices or something like that.
Mm.
I think that
yeah.
would work. That would work. I'd like to test that.
It could damn well work. It's also, I mean, I really want to go on a tangent just about like amazing ways we've seen people sell things. I'm gonna do one more because it's all relevant to Black Friday, guys, and this is how you can frame copy as well. There was one that was selling, they were selling lists of information, they're like contact information. But they just straight up said like, hey, and this was on a, I want to say an email, but I can't be sure about that. It was on an email, and they just said, hey, due to legal reasons, we're not going to be a company next week. But the information that we have is good and it's totally fine. That's not like the problem. It's just we're like dissolving. So this is going to be a large chance to get it. And because we don't care anymore, we're going to sell it to you for, I think it was like $200 or whatever. So I was like, I snapped that up. That was a real offer that I then bought because I was like, that's good. Who knows if that was real or not? But it sold me, and I was like, that would be a good idea. I just want to set up companies to sell things, say, oh, we're going to dissolve next week, then dissolve the company, then set up another one. So I really like that. That really works. But yeah, just having a real reason, urgency to do something and then following through on it. Nothing beats it.
That, what you just described, is actually a business strategy in America. Rod, did you want to talk about that?
I know. I was just gonna say okay, we're dissolving, so we don't care anymore is my favorite hook ever. We don't care anymore, so how many use discount?
But yeah, there are whole stores that pop up in America. They often take the place of like Halloween and Christmas stores.
Oh, Party City.
Yeah. And so like America has a ton of malls, and also America since the 80s have not had enough businesses and retail stores to like fill up all the mall space that we have. So there's been this trend over the last 30 years of like pop-up holiday stores, Halloween stores, Christmas stores, and what you're describing, clearance stores, where it's literally like a store will pop up and the whole store will just be like going out of business store, a clearance store. Everything is 70% off. You often find these things in strip malls. Like, America's weird, but yeah, that's that strategy, what you just described. Like, that's a legitimate business in America. So
guys watching this, go and subscribe to patreon.com/the Copy That Show, because we're not going to be a business next week. Okay, so this is the last chance for you to get all of the information that we have. Oh man. Okay.
How about instead of that plug, we do we're talking about the Black Friday stream for the Copy That show. We also have a Black Friday sale. I don't think we're using the optimal strategy, but if you go to patreon.com/the Copy That Show, right now, if you buy an annual subscription to our premium tier of the Patreon, you'll get the maximum discount that we can offer. It's like 15% on Patreon. They won't allow us to discount anymore. So that's cool. You get a whole year of us like talking to you about copy and marketing.
Is there someone somewhere else people can go if they don't want to subscribe, but they still want more discounts?
Yeah, and if your card doesn't work for Patreon, or if you want more discounts, or if you just don't want to be a subscriber to the Patreon, you could go instead to copythatshow.com, where we also have a more different Black Friday offer, which is you get 30% off access to our membership area where I have been uploading all of our like Patreon only Q&As, all of our Patreon only memberships, Alex's ecom adventure. I'm eventually going to like browbeat Rod into like uploading his financial copy adventure to that page. It's not everything that you get with the Patreon, but there's definitely more than a few $100s worth of value in there already. And so, yeah, we're going to be constantly updating it and adding stuff to it. So if you want a 30% discount off of that, you can get one.
Hey, was there a promo code, or do they just get it if or all the prices just discounted?
Discount code COPYWHAT, COPYWHAT, all one word. If you put that in at checkout for the full membership to all of our stuff, you get a 30% discount. So there you go.
Also, guys, if you just want some quick Black Friday copywriting tips, the best subject line that performs on Black Friday is just that, especially for an existing list, as in going to people who've already bought from you, is just the name of the store or the name of the product that you are discounting, and then X% off. Like, that's the core of what works as a Black Friday subject line. I like tacking onto the end of that a parentheses that says something like ends in X days. Like, don't overthink it, don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to. Remember, you're just pushing people over the edge. You're not going to convince someone who's unaware or doesn't really care about the industry to buy through a Black Friday discount, but you're going to convince the people who are like, oh my god, okay, yeah, this might be a good time to buy. You're pushing me over the edge of it. So like, that's one. Another thing we touched on earlier, which is when you're going through, don't see Black Friday as like a one and done type thing where it's just, oh, one campaign out, that's Black Friday, that's done. Do it as like a linear leading from one point to the next, and reference like, okay, this is great. Wait till we see what we have coming tomorrow though. Like, this is going to be crazy. Always really, really end with intrigue on everything. Always end with an open loop. Make sure you don't close that loop until tomorrow, where you've revealed what the next thing is, or till next week when you've revealed what the next thing is, and then open another loop. Another thing is to be extremely clear on what the offer is. If it's going to end at a certain time, say like ends in 2 days. Don't dance around it. Don't use complicated sentences. Be very, very clear with what you mean, because people will want to know that. And then just remember that there is no like subtlety to any of this. Clarity is key here with Black Friday. Don't try to be clever with your copywriting. You don't need to be funny necessarily. You don't need to think of all of these copywriting terms you've heard. You don't need to think about ADA. You don't need to think about these, abbreviations and acronyms. Just be clear on what you are selling, that this isn't going to happen again. Like this is a Black Friday only deal. And then be very, very clear with your CTA, which is buy now. You want some other quick fire tips? If your store doesn't do free shipping, usually do free shipping on Black Friday. Deadly serious about that. Double whammy. 1, free shipping. 2, oh my god, it's free shipping because it's Black Friday. Do that. Either on top of a discount or just as the discount. I would always recommend on top of the discount because it gives people that extra nudge, but still as its own campaign, you can say, and free shipping on everything over Black Friday weekend. That can be one of the big things you throw into that big, insane offer at the end. Another thing that you should do with Black Friday campaigns is make sure that when you are building up to them, that you are not you're not confusing people with a big calendar of what's coming and when. Don't like expect them to care as much about the thought you're putting into the Black Friday campaign. They don't. They just want to know the deal that's happening on the day. Trying to think if there's any other kind of quick fire tips that I would give. Free shipping is definitely a big one. If you can do this, there are plenty of plugins to do this. I know that I think Discount X is one. Coupon X, sorry, is one. Make it so that the coupons in your cart apply automatically. That is really one of the universal rules I've not yet seen broken. And I've even seen people suggest the other thing. I've seen people say, they suggest like, oh, do a coupon that people have to enter because people feel better about it. I've never seen that work. I've never seen those outpull the other ones. It's like have it be a discount code, but have it say applies automatically in the basket because people don't want to do any more steps. So those would be some like those 4, 5, 6 quick fire tips there about copy and strategy, etc. Yeah, guys, Sean.
So really quick, you mentioned something that I've been harping on a lot in previous streams. I don't think I've talked about it in a while, but you mentioned like not only having a discount but also offering free shipping. Like other things that work really well for these sorts of like one-off or seasonal deals is extra bonuses. Like you also get a free gift along with your purchase is really good. Another one too, especially for info publishing around the holidays that I've seen work, is improve your guarantee. So if like you have like a 30-day window that people can get like their money back, say in your copy, we're expanding that from 30 days to 365 days. So you get a full year to try this out for yourself to see if it works.
Nice. Yeah. And it's I'm not going to say it's the Wild West, but like it's not, I almost wish there was more to say about the copywriting aspect of Black Friday. But really, people are apes. Like, and people just go like, discount, cool, like product I want, nice, yeah, gonna buy, cool. We're just caveman brain. And the copy, like clarity is king. I know we say that a lot, but especially with Black Friday. But one of the things I want to get across in this stream, especially from the beginning of saying how much more I earned by understanding these concepts and learning them and being able to go to business and say, hey, I'll do this for you, is that as a copywriter, especially if you're a copywriter who wants to go freelance and wants to, or if you're an aspiring freelance copywriter, so you're not there yet, you need to start to understand these business decisions that you also need to bring into how you write copy. It's not just writing words. And I think a lot of people don't understand that until they get a little bit deeper into it. The people who make, most people, I'd say most copywriters who make a lot of money don't just do copy. And I think we were speaking about that maybe in a Patreon only stream before. But start to think about how you can enhance not only offers with your copy, but copy with the offers. Like start to think and plan around when you're consulting with someone, suggest these things, because even though you're just a copywriter, just say to them, hey, if we're discounting all this stuff, would you mind if we start discounting it a little bit early and I can send 3 more email campaigns? They go, yeah, sure. If you're already getting a commission for that, or if you can negotiate yourself a commission, then hey, that may be just a few extra $100 in your pocket, right? So yeah, it's super important thing to figure out here. So
I mean, like it always makes me laugh when people are just like, like you earn this much. Is it all because of copywriting? I'm like, if you only do copywriting, unless you are like really, really good, like it's going to be hard to make lots of money. Like lots of clients hire you not just for your copy knowledge. They hire you for the business consulting you can do, even on a small scale. They hire you for your input, for your thoughts, for your ideas, your strategies. And learning something like this that Alex has shared, like, is a valuable, strategy that you can now apply to any business that you work with.
Exactly. So. If you have any intentions of being a copywriter and working for a business, many businesses do not do Black Friday. It's an opportunity for you to get in there and, propose a business strategy and show that you're capable of much more than copywriting, but actually making business decisions. And I think, to Alex's point, that this stuff is not that hard as maybe you would think. I mean, go on Google, type in, examples of Black Friday, Cyber Monday campaigns or other seasonal campaigns. Here, here's one, how 100 brands marketed their Cyber Week deals in 2021. Go look up that article and you can just see the examples. Like it's just discount. Here's the code, 30% off, 40% off. A lot of timers, like countdown timers, just that visual element of the scarcity and the urgency of like the stuff is going away. But like the elements are all the exact same. You can go through some of like the biggest brands, you know, in the US in this case, some of the biggest brands in the world, and their campaigns are, it's just, you know, it's just that, put the discount in front of people's eyeballs, tell them this is their opportunity to stock up for the year, you know, give them a coupon code, and that's it. You know, check out some of the language that they're using. But again, you know, these are massive brands, just doing the basics.
So one thing I've noticed a lot in like the political space is that when the topic or when there's something happening in the world that kind of primes people to be more aware of like that politics is a thing. When I write copy that is trying to like activate them on that emotion, or I can just write a little bit and like not kind of overwrite, and doing just a little bit will push people like way further than even if I'm trying to like write super emotionally or in a supercharged way, and that thing in real life is not making them like feel like that thing is relevant. One, is it like because people are kind of aware of Black Friday as a buying event, do you try to like add that level of emotionality or like the sort of emotional valence to the copy you write in terms of like, hey, like now's the time to buy? And if so, do you have any examples you could give people of how you can write your copy in a persuasive way that's activating without being like, without like overwriting or writing like way too much copy? Because the sales message is pretty simple, just discount.
I think the thing that I find myself defaulting to, I think it's just because I found it works, is almost using people's own thoughts against them, which sounds very Sith, but using their thanks, using their own thoughts against them, in that saying if is a fantastic word for Black Friday, because outside of just saying, you could just say Black Friday discount toothbrush heads, whatever, enough. If you can go further than that and say, if you've considered buying one of these before, but thought they were slightly out of your price range, this is the time. Like if, then now. Like if, then now. Those are the kind of words that you want to be almost, if you have to have a formula, that's a good one for Black Friday. That's a good one for seasonal selling. It's just saying, hey, if this has even been on your radar at all, and being frank with people, saying like, this is the best deal that is going to be here all year. This is only happening once a year. Don't wait till next year to do this. As long as you're also following that through and not then doing a better deal throughout the rest of the year, that works very well. Just being upfront with people. For people who we focused more on, maybe we focused half and half, but I feel like we've lent more into acquisition than, or kind of an activation than kind of like getting people to buy again and again. But especially to people who are already frequent buyers, for them especially, it's the kind of thing where you say, and Lindsay used the phrase that I've used many times before, which is stock up. Which is just saying to people like, hey, stock up. Like this is time. You know you're going to buy more of this, so stock up now.
You know you're going to need toothbrushes. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's the reason that a lot some upsell offers of especially FMCG brands, fast moving consumer goods brands, so things like toiletries and food and snacks, they will have upsells which are bulk buying. They'll say, hey, well, like buy all this. It's the same reason that Amazon introduced subscription button. It's like, well, you know you're going to need this, so why not just take the hassle out of it and sign up to get regular deliveries? You know you're going to need this. Why not buy 4 kilos of beef? Because hey, it's here. It's the best deal we're going to do all year. So to your point, Rod, and trying to move back to your original question, which was saying that you often find if it's an emotional subject or something that's in the news, it's topical, you only need to give a little bit of a hint, a little bit of push. I definitely agree with that. And I think that even outside of seasonal selling, one of the mistakes I see juniors make a lot is I've seen this relatively recently, where they will over-explain, what's the word? Exposition dump, right? It's just like the person reading it. So for example, one of my audiences I sell to are pharmacists. Pharmacists in the UK know that pharmacies are like under strain right now. They know the funding is the lowest it's ever been. You don't need to spend 2 paragraphs telling them that and hitting them with facts and statistics saying like, oh, this is the worst it's ever been. It's down by this much %. Like they know that. And as to your point, Rod, you can get the same reaction out of them, or a better reaction because they're not bored, just by saying community pharmacies under the worst strain it's ever been. Like, community pharmacies having the worst time in the UK since records began, right? They know that. They go like, yeah, it is. God, yeah, I agree with you. And that's ultimately what you're trying to get them to do. You're just trying to get them to go, oh, that's relevant to me, and I agree with you. Yeah, you understand me. So 100%. Same with Black Friday. Same with seasonal. People know that there are offers about at the moment. You don't need to sell them on that fact. You just need to say, hey, look, if you've considered buying before, if you want to buy, this is the time to do it, because we're not going to do a deal again. Does that answer your question?
It perfectly does. Thank you.
Rex said, how did you figure out that they know that? I'm going to assume you're talking about pharmacists, or just audiences in general. The research is the easiest answer I can give to that. Like, go and meet the people you're selling to, look on forums, look at what they complain about. If they're complaining about something, they already know about it. That's an easy way to think about it.
A good way to do that is to read the publications that they read. Lots of pharmacists, for example, like I'm sure they have a pharmacy magazine or whatever, right? In the UK,
No.
like if you read that type of stuff, like you are going to know the state of the market. And that's just being timely and being like in tune with what's going on in your niche. If you want to be up to date, you should just read news outlets. You should follow, prominent people in your space. And that's really, really going to help get in touch with like sort of the heartbeat of the market that you're trying to sell to.
100%. If anyone is interested in researching pharmacists in the UK, come to me. Go subscribe to Chemist and Druggist, which is a great name. We're coming off of Black Friday now. I feel like the stream is coming to a conclusion, but Sean is waggling his finger and his eyebrows at me, so I sense something philosophical.
Well, I wanted to know if you wanted to play a game, because I mentioned early in the stream that I actually had examples of seasonal renewal campaigns that I myself made, and wanted to know if one of them worked really well and actually led to this back-end financial product, which Lindsay knows is like not cheap. It's a $2,000 offer. One of them did really well. The other, basically the same offer, didn't do so great. And so I wanted to know if you wanted to see if you could play a quick game of which sales letter bombed and which one did the opposite of bomb. Rather, it did really well, but also let's talk about why with me.
Of course I'd like to play that game and absolutely fail abysmally. If anyone ever feels stupid about getting these wrong, if anyone has access to Gary Bensavenga's retirement seminar, which I highly suggest you get your hands on because it's fantastic. They play that game in that, and a room of extremely talented copywriters. Most of them get it wrong. So never feel bad about getting it wrong, chat.
So let's start with Black Friday / Cyber Monday. Okay, so just to give you all context, this is a real document that I really wrote. It has legal edits that I'm not going to show you. Every single red line is something that legal changed. And I'll go through and I'll read it so that everybody watching this, and if you are on Twitch, guys, you can see it too. But basically the premise was we were going to send 3 emails in advance of Black Friday. And then we were going to, basically give a discount off of this back-end financial product, which is a newsletter. And what a back-end means is that we were only selling to existing subscribers. Okay. Which is typically called a renewal offer as well. And so this is really a thing that I wrote, a real thing that went out in the world and possibly made money. Anyway, so here is how I organize. Whenever I submit lifts to clients, to my previous employer, I always start with, and I highlight stuff where I'm just like, this is a note to legal or production, like pay attention to this so that people know where I'm coming from. So these are, this is the item code. It says renewals, and it says 3 lists to test. There you go. Pretty straightforward. Lift 1, subject line 1, and then in brackets, leaked early, a Black Friday discount you can't miss. Alternative subject line, Cyber Monday deal, last chance. Alternative subject line, urgent, way to save on your subscription costs. And then for the secondary subject line or preview text, I said leave blank. Okay. So, hey, subscriber name, you're a this product subscriber, right? I thought so. I get a little printout of names. Listen, it's no secret that I've been coding up high-tech stock trading software for 20 years. You've probably heard me blab about it a million times. That's why I was so glad to finally be able to offer a trading research service that gives you a shot to benefit from the software that I code, and a chance to land some of the fast-paced gains that can come when Wall Street's algorithms glitch out. It couldn't have come at a better time, too. Anyone who acted the day I recommended these trades could have seen 2-day gains up 114%, and then a whole bunch of gains. Say you put $100 into each trade I've recommended the day I sent it out. Had you done that, you could have seen your investments balloon up to $3,475 by now. And $1,000 per trade could have grown to $34,753. That is, if you've been playing the recommendations. You've been following the recommendations I've been sending you, right? That's 34 grand in just a few months. A phenomenal win rate that explains the notes that I've been getting. And then I have a bunch of testimonials, and they're all real. These are all things that people actually sent in and said. Including Tim G, who said, I have netted almost $40,000 in gains in a month. I made $19,000 in a week on the CA trade. You likely paid $650 for a quarterly trial or $1,995 for 1 year, depending on when you signed up for your Altiture's weekly Alpha Brain alert. With the potential gains you've seen during your subscription so far, you could have easily paid for the full $4,000 retail price of this research service, depending on how much you invested, of course. That was a legal edit. That's a pretty good deal. But I want to sweeten the pot for you just a little bit more. To celebrate the holidays and a wonderful new way to make money in the market, I want to offer you a huge Black Friday/Cyber Monday discount, a chance to upgrade your subscription so you never miss one of my weekly Alpha Brain alerts, and so you set yourself up to get all the tweaks and improvements I'm making to my system. Please take a few minutes to click here and look at the discount I arranged for you. Don't hesitate, though. This offer ends at midnight on December 2nd. So do me a favor, check this out before time is up. Click here to lock in your Alpha Brain savings, and I use the CSS button generator to make a big old button. All the best to you and yours this holiday season. James's sign off. P.S. You're the type of reader I want benefiting from the trading software I coded up. I just want to make sure you don't miss out on all this. I'd love to keep you on board so long as you think it's worth it. Click here to lock in your Cyber Monday savings. What do you think? And then there are two other lists that like leverage different rhetorical techniques and things like that. Adding urgency, of course. There are additional buttons, but what do you guys think of that?
When did that go out? What date?
Looks like this went out in late 2019.
What date specific? Do you know have the actual date in like the month, or is that too specific?
I'm going to guess it was in late November before December 2nd.
I feel like it's trying to do too much. That's my gut feeling. I think obviously there's good rhetorical techniques in there, obviously. But I'm trying to think as the person who'd be reading that, and I'm thinking, do I care right now about saving on something I'm already on, and then you're also bombarding me with a lot of testimonies of people who've already done well, and I have not necessarily done well right now, like yet. So my gut feeling is I feel like it would lose people. I could be completely wrong about that.
Well, I will say one of the counterintuitive parts about email, long email, is if you notice what was done in the PS and towards the end. So there is a lot of fodder, which most likely people scrolled through. It's down fast. They skip all that right to the bottom, which is when I notice a comment and that I'm looking at right now. The last part doesn't seem necessary, the PS part, but that is the exact part that is absolutely necessary. Because if you notice, everything is bundled up like right in the PS. Like, this is exactly everything that you need to know. I gave you this whole long spiel, but absolutely everything you need to know is in this PS, which is the part that people scroll down through anyway. And so subheads kind of work the same way. PSs work the same way in email. And so I don't know. I'm kind of thinking maybe this one was a little counterintuitive and this one worked well.
Could you go back up to the subject line, Sean?
Of course. All the various alternative subject lines.
All of the various alternative subject lines, please.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. My gut tells me this didn't do fantastically well. Leaked early, a Black Friday discount you can't miss. The leaked early is cool, but again, if this is coming, that's why I want to know the date, because has Black Friday happened at this point or not?
So I'm guessing no.
No. So that's the thing. You get a subject line like that. People opening this, they want to know the discount. And so they're going to scroll through right to the information until they get to the information at the end, which is the discount.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially. For some I thought this came out after Black Friday because it says Cyber Monday last chance. So it makes me think like you've had a Cyber Monday deal, like that's happened already and it's your last chance to do it.
I'm guessing, based on my faulty memory from 3 years ago, that we had one email. So the way the alternative subject lines works, there were 3 emails, but you can send the same email to the same list again by changing the subject line. Here's the way to do that. You change the subject line and then you send it to the people that didn't open. Because if they didn't open it the first time, you're not bombarding them with the same thing over and over again because they literally didn't see it before. That's why you always, in your emails, put multiple alternative subject lines whenever you deliver something to a client. So that was the Black Friday deal that I wrote in 2019. Would you like to see the Christmas renewal deal that I wrote in 2019? Here we go. You'll get to see my awesome graphic design skills too.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Fancy
Ooh.
schmancy. I made this in Canva. It was free. Okay, and so I left the dates blank because we didn't know when in the marketing calendar these would go out. But basically, here's what I did. It was one email in this campaign. Subject line, you only have until blank at blank to act. Secondary subject line, the preview text, don't miss out on 50% off. And I said, like, if you were going to resend this to the same list, flip them. Don't miss out on 50% off. And then the preview text, you only have until such and such to act. Basically, just like always trying to keep the focus on one individual emotion. You know, here the discount, here the urgency. And then at the very top of the email, I had, in a standard e-commerce email fashion, this design that I mocked up in Canva. Merry Christmas, 50% off, Altitude's Weekly Alpha Brain Alert, this weekend only. Here's the headline for this email that went out to real people. Happy Christmas Hana Kwanzaa, Don. I'll give you until blank to act on this. Humor. Dear Weekly Alpha Brain Alert reader, it's Christmas and Hanukkah and a bunch of other stuff too. To celebrate this sacred time and to help you get ready for a profitable 2020, I'd like to offer you a token of my appreciation. I'm going to open the doors to Alture's Weekly Alpha Brain Alert VIP lifetime membership at a massive discount. It's the same offer as the other one. As far as I know, you'll likely never see a price this low again. As far as I know is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, by the way. Only our most loyal readers, like you, will even see this special offer. So please, pay close attention. You'll likely never see an opportunity like this ever again. Never pay for Altitude's Weekly Alpha Brain Alert ever again. You read that right. Stop paying. Quit it. You made the investment to join my trading research service. I know my model portfolio's performance made that investment worth it. So that's why I want to invite you to my highest tier of service. Here's what you can expect as a VIP lifetime member. When you upgrade today, you'll never have to worry about missing out on any special events, recommendations, or perks. And you'll be guaranteed VIP treatment for life. And you'll receive analysis and recommendations from Altitude's Weekly Alpha Brain Alert free for life. It's simple. Never pay another renewal fee. No membership fees, no recurring charges, ever. You'll simply pay a low, one-time membership fee today for this upgrade. You can't beat all the other VIP perks like red carpet treatment. And by the way, all this copy is almost directly copy-pasted from the upsell for this product. Like, purely copy-pasted. This is our most elite level of service, reserved for my most motivated readers, and special readers deserve special treatment. Like our white glove customer service program. By the way, guys, have I ever mentioned that I'm a good copywriter? Anyway, When you upgrade today, you will receive unrestricted access to our on-demand concierge service. With this exclusive service, you get a direct line phone number to your personal concierge. His name is Brad. He's a diehard Ravens fan, smart as a whip, and one of the friendliest guys you'll ever meet. If you ever have a question about receiving your latest alerts, special reports, books, and other incredible benefits that come along with your membership upgrade today, you have a direct line to Brad. Keep in mind, Brad can't offer any personalized investing advice, legal edit, but any questions you have about your membership that he can't answer himself will be passed right to me. I could easily charge $500 a year for this member benefit alone if I wanted to, but you're going to receive it for free as a VIP lifetime member. But there's more. You'll also be enrolled in our legacy program, which allows you to name a family member as your beneficiary to this VIP lifetime membership. This is the most popular VIP feature. With this program, your loved ones will also benefit from the decision you're making today. Sometimes I read the stuff that I wrote and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm proud of that. They'll continue to receive investment ideas and strategies even after you're gone. They'll inherit your membership so the family nest egg can stay protected and grow for generations to come. However, there's just one catch. I'm only allowing the first 100 readers to upgrade today. I'm keeping this invite list very small and elite. The general public will never see a rare opportunity like this. I'm only looking for those of you willing to make a small investment in themselves today to secure their financial future. If that's you, then let's get down to business. As I said, I'd like to celebrate all the holidays with you today, so I worked out an amazing deal for you today. You see, I could charge new VIP lifetime members to Altucher's Weekly Alpha Brain Alert as much as $4,000 or even $5,000 for entry. And that's a great price considering all the analysis, actionable trade alerts, special money-making reports, and VIP access you'll be receiving. And you're not going to pay anywhere near that today. Only available this holiday weekend. You can upgrade for more than 50% off. That means you'll pay only a one-time fee of $1,999 to upgrade today. But you have to act fast. This offer will expire on blank. Now, simply click this link to be taken to a secure order form, and we will immediately get you started on your way to your VIP lifetime membership to Altucher's Weekly Alpha Brain Alert. It's pretty incredible how affordable I've made this upgrade. I hope you'll take advantage before time runs out. Sincerely, James Altucher. Whew. And then below that is the order form.
I mean,
that's pretty good.
It was all right.
Again, for me, maybe this is the e-commerce in me speaking, but like that was an immediate, clear offer that is immediately urgent. And if I'm thinking as a person that who's already on this list, and I know I'm using this list, the prospect of getting it 50% off, but that's urgent as well immediately. Okay, interesting to me because I'm already paying for it. Whereas the other one was more like, well, I'm paying for it, like, and you're telling about other people who have won, and it's not really clear. Do I have to read on like what kind of offer is this? And then you're being more focused on, hey, this is all about upgrading. That's all this is about. Here's all the stuff you get from upgrading.
This entire
Just do this
thing is
thing.
about upgrading and getting a discount and how the benefits of upgrading and the discount, as opposed to like my system and like the first email was like, I made this amazing system and my system and like, that's how it led.
It's like, to me, the other one felt like I was being pitched to, right? It was like, here's this thing that's great, you should buy because it's great and I say it's great, right? Whereas this other one, it's like you're warm, you're enthusiastic, you're inviting me into your, to your world, your universe, your company, and you're showing me all the things that are there. You're showing me what I can get. You're showing me that I can get to this state, and you're even showing me that my children could potentially, become wealthy. It's like warm versus cold, and I don't mean like audience or whatever, but I mean like in the voice that you approach someone, in the mannerisms of your writing, in the character of your copy, so to say.
Yeah, there's two things for me. First, just really quick, I'm a hoe for formatting, and so having those subheads, they're bold and easily parsable if you're like scrolling down. I love that. From the smirk on your face, I'm sure this is the one that bombed now as we all continue to praise it, but I think this one's better. But the other thing is like, in line with that sort of warmness that Luke is talking about, I do feel like it's almost like the sort of natural confidence that some people have in real life, where like, if you go into a conversation and someone's just giving you all these proof points for why they're such an expert or why they're so credible, hear testimonials from all these other people. Like, yeah, sure, you might believe them, but that's really different than going into an interaction where someone's just like, oh yeah, here's what's in it for you. And they're not even really like having to draw upon why you should believe them because they're just so confident. I felt just as like I believed that second email just as much, even though there were way through proof points because they were just so like, oh yeah, open and clear. And so I would lean towards the second one also.
How many people did that go to? How many people were on that list? Do you know?
Oh, thousands and thousands. So so just for some more context, these went to the list of buyers. So there were thousands of buyers at this point, and there were 2 tiers. There was a quarterly tier and, well, 3 tiers, a yearly tier and then a lifetime tier. These went to the annual and quarterly people. And both of these campaigns went out within, I want to say, 2 weeks of each other.
So what were the results?
Well, let's put it to the chat. Guys, which ones do you think bombed and which one do you think did the opposite of bomb? So there's the Merry Christmas 50% off, and then there was this. Now, for other context, this was, and it still is, my best performing sales letter that I ever wrote. I wrote the bulk of the renewal and ancillary copy for it, like, and we consistently, I think for over a year and a half, were not just one of the top selling backend products at Agora, but we also had the best renewal revenue at Agora as well. And so one of the reasons why, and this might tip my hand a little bit, marketing kept coming back to me for renewal campaigns for this was because they kept working.
So one of the pieces of deduction I want to bring up was, if the first one worked and it went out before the second one, why wouldn't you just keep using the first one with a different subject line to people who didn't open? Was going to be one of my points as well. But I didn't know if that was too logical. And you're actually going to say, like, Alex, in the info world, we test illogically because sometimes things work. But that was another thought I did have.
Very meta, very smart.
Yeah, so part of it is arrogance. Like, I like testing new stuff and like coming up with new angles and things like that. Another thing too is also, and I can actually sort of like, once we play this game, I can sort of break down the actual logic of why I structured each message the way that I did, and like what my thinking was in preparing these campaigns and when I did them.
One thing I liked with the Christmas one is that it actually feels like a Christmas card, sort of, at least at the beginning. And that's because, like, there's one thing that I always say, it's like your copy should feel human. The more personal you can make it, the more you can write it like a memo or like a diary or like a personal letter, the better, typically.
Yeah, I mean, I was also just thinking, like, a reason I liked it is because I said earlier, novelty. And I doubt many lifts go out that have a kind of Canva design thing immediately as they get opened. So it's immediately something different.
A lot of effort.
I was just trying to think, how would a person on that list react to something that is a single offer and relevant and a great deal and urgent and different? So all the rules are there.
Well, I mean, this immediately broadcast, you're going to be sold. So, like, you're going to be, I'm attempting to sell you something, right? Like, that is the immediate message that you get when you open it up. And if you are like primed for that and like, okay, I'm in a spot where I've been thinking about buying this, I want to buy this, then you'll continue with that message. Otherwise, you might very well just close the email.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-qualification going on there. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of
qualification. You're out, you know? Yeah,
out.
Good point.
No one's going to continue reading.
Absolutely.
Old people also love greeting cards, and so this one's structured like one. So.
Absolutely. And also speaks to a lot of concerns that elderly investors might have. Anyway, I also, at this time, and I still do, always wanted to write a holiday renewal campaign with Happy Christmas Hanukkah Kwanzaa in it. Like, that's been a multi-year desire of mine, and I finally got to use it. And guess what? Both of them worked.
Yay.
Wow.
It was
This
a
was
trick.
a trick game. Both of them kicked ass. They both fucking like, whoa, in terms of renewals, both of them worked extraordinarily well. Extremely, extremely well. I have a suspicion based on observations, but both the Black Friday, hey, here's a bunch of facts about the thing that you just bought, reselling you on the thing that you just bought, well, that worked really well. So did the, hey, because you're my kind of guy, here's a Christmas discount. And also, if you ever die, we'll make sure to take care of your family. That kind of offer. Both of them killed, like tens and tens of thousands of dollars in renewal revenue. Absolutely killed. So where do we start with dissecting this?
My immediate draw is just to, first of all, clearing up the graphic in which, was that the top of the email and was that the first thing they saw when they clicked into the email?
Yeah, of course.
So like that's super interesting to me. I'm assuming that's not something that happens very often in the info space. It's certainly not something I've seen outside of like a picture of maybe a building, you know, something like that, or a pattern interrupt.
Yep.
So that's really interesting to me. Do you think that element on its own helped it to work? Do you think it hindered it? Do you think it didn't make a difference?
Let me put it this way. I think the two of these campaigns in tandem is why it worked.
So it's
Yeah, I
the same list.
thought about that too. Like they might synergize. I was like, well, if people are already expecting seasonal discounts, they might get primed by the first one to then also be more likely to buy at the second one.
The logic, because I actually conceived of these two campaigns around the same time, because I had, I'm one of the few copywriters at Agora who regularly and routinely also writes what's called a 24-hour new to file renewal campaign, which is to say, once somebody buys, within 24 hours, they get an email being like, yo, do you want to upgrade to lifetime? And then a whole bunch of reasons to upgrade to lifetime. Usually it's actually just the upsell copy pasted. And yeah, it works really well. So what I did was I took the logic and even some of the language from my 24-hour new to file and included it in the Black Friday Cyber Monday deal email. Like the whole rhetorical structure of this is actually almost that exact same email that they had already gotten, like beat by beat, including first like examples of gains recently that are real examples, some dimensionalization, testimonials from the beta test, and then like an expression of like, hey, you paid this, why don't you not pay that to get this forever? And then a little bit of urgency at the end. Very simple structure for 24-hour new to file kinds of campaigns. Now, I knew that that would scoop up all the people that, because here's the thing about info publishing, and I just want to back up for a second. I actually included this in my memo to the Copy That crew. The weird thing about info publishing that was brought up as a criticism, well, in info publishing, it's a benefit to sell people on the stuff that they have bought again and 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 again. Sell people on the same things that originally spurred them to buy. Because guess what's going to happen? That is going to, the same logic, the same rhetoric, the same emotions are going to spur them to buy it again in the form of a renewal or an upsell, or just in terms of staying on board. Like retention for this product was insanely high, even though it was a $2,000 product. That some people that like weren't even able to use. So I knew that after sending the Black Friday Cyber Monday deal, that rhetorical structure was tapped twice by the new to file offer as well as this one, which they all sent to the same order form, basically. The Christmas one, the order form was different, but it was still effectively the same offer. Now, I knew that the people that had been sold again and again, well, they're probably a little tired of getting sold again and again using the same techniques and tactics. So I figured, well, why not take a different approach to see if I could get different people, the types of people that are not looking to be resold again on the idea of the promo and the product, but rather on the actual savings that they could get. And that was the genesis of number 2, this guy, Happy Chris Mahana Kwanzaa. And so straight up, like after this point, almost all the copy is directly not from the 24-hour new to file renewal, but from the actual upsell copy that I wrote. Like almost verbatim, like copy pasted verbatim. And it worked really, really well. And we saw that those offers, like they were recycled and reused the next year. Because of legal reasons, you can't reuse the same testimonials or the same gains like after a certain amount of time has passed. Like they have to be relatively recent and proximal and like dimensionalized correctly in order to be FTC compliant. And so we did that, and we had a bunch of other renewal campaigns go out like every single month following this. And I cleaned up. I got so much money from it. It was great. It was amazing, especially in like April, May of 2020, after like the huge like dip and then spike because the track record for the product was really good at that time. Anyway, so both of these worked really, really well. And I think that counterintuitively, like as opposed to e-commerce, in info publishing, long copy sells not only to get the customer, but also to keep the customer. That has been my observation again and again, where I've literally seen publishers and seniors and like other people with their own sort of like predilections and discriminatory attitudes about copy say, this email is 4,000 words long. You cannot send an email that's that long. And then the copywriter says, let's test it. And they go, okay, fine. And they send out a 4,000 word email, and it works really well for a product that people already bought. So that is, I think, an interesting sort of like side lesson to this larger discussion about seasonal offerings, which is that it matters, it very much matters what kind of thing you're selling. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately going to dictate maybe not the angle or the offer. Again, you know, my offer was 50% off this because it's Christmas. The logic is the same. But I also had 1,000 words of more copy than perhaps Alex has ever seen in a seasonal email. And both of them probably sold more than a seasonal email that you've, many of them that you've probably seen go out. So that's something to keep in mind. That's a big difference between info marketing and actual e-commerce marketing, which is e-commerce marketing. People are on your list already. They're already interested in the product. For info publishing and info marketing, courses, newsletters, publications, the New Yorker, things like that. Nobody's waking up in the morning and being like, God, fuck, I can't wait to whip out my credit card to buy more subscription to this thing. You actually have to convince them to do it again. And a discount usually isn't enough. Mm-hmm. That's been my observation.
I think it's a good one.
Go ahead, Alex.
No, I mean, I was going to say, on the opposite end of the spectrum, obviously where I spend most of my time, I very much liken it to if you're hungry and you see an advert for Domino's, right? That's all you need. They don't need anything more than that. They don't need to convince you. They don't need to keep you interested. Domino's don't even need to be a good company and continuously prove to you that they're awesome and that they're nice and you should go with them and it's going to fulfill your life to have a pizza, or your family are going to be protected if you order a margarita. What they do is they wait until it hits 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., localized time zones, and they run ads of piping hot, cheesy pizza. And you go, damn, now I want one. Like that's how simple, that's the easiest thing to sell, in my opinion, is anything where someone just needs to go like, oh, the chemicals are going, God, yeah, I need that right now. As you say, you don't need to sell them again. Info, other end of the spectrum, when it's the onus is on a person to actually convince themselves almost that, yeah, I need this thing because it's going to fulfill a deeper need. Yeah, you need to keep selling. And I've never spent much time down that end of the spectrum.
Yeah. Well, I have a ton of copy you can swipe. And maybe some of those techniques could work in e-commerce as well. So really quick, I want to clarify something. Rex says, so that's why you do the DIY wealth emails like that. Just for people watching this now or 10,000 years in the future, I have another business that I run and am growing called DIYwealth.com. One of the things that we do is we send out every week a couple of emails that have a long form discussion about some concept related to finance or wealth building or like getting richer, skilling up in that area, whereas Copy That for me is the skilling up in like, marketing and copy. And the important thing to understand is that what I've been showing you guys, that's a marketing email. What I send to the list for DIY Wealth is an engagement email. The purpose is not to sell people primarily. There are links to sell people in them, but that's not the main point. The point is to entertain, delight, and instruct. And most of you writing emails for an e-commerce brand will never have to write an email like that for the rest of your life. If you write something that's more like a fitness blog or a paleo blog or a health blog or any sort of blog, well, guess what? Email is just another distribution channel for the blog. So you send it. That's it. It helps always to have some sort of direct or indirect call to action in them. But the purpose is not primarily sales, whereas what I've been showing you guys, the purpose was primarily sales. Does that make sense, Rex? When is a good time to be super emotional with copy and another just be more direct without going into super visceral emotions, like learn how to make money from content marketing so you can protect your kinds, lose weight so you can watch your grandchildren grow up, etc.? Yeah, LOL Shadow Reaper says, I guess the type of copywriting done is dependent on the service or product. Yes, that's exactly the kind of point that I wanted to drive home here at the end, because what Alex has been talking about, all the techniques and all the logic and all the psychology, it still works for e-commerce and for info publishing, for coaching, for courses, other things like that. The difference is that for info publishing, like, you have to manufacture demand a little bit. You have to entice a little bit more. Whereas people on e-commerce lists, they have already been enticed. Like, Alex, I think a good anecdote that I got from a sales book recently, I forget the exact details of this, but it was like, what is the, if you had to market a bottle of water, what is the thing that you would want the most? Like, a good discount or like good marketing and stuff like that. And the leader of this seminar was just like, I just want a thirsty audience. I'm going to outsell all of you. That's e-commerce marketing in a nutshell. Like, trying to be the bottle of water in front of a thirsty audience. And what better way to push people over the edge to buying than to offer a discount on a bottle of water if they're already thirsty? No brainer. Info publishing, newsletters, nobody wakes up in the morning going, God fucking damn it, I need a newsletter right now. Oh my God. So you have to do more selling, even to people you've already sold. So.
Yeah.
Rex,
Yeah.
so your question is a lot more, it's less like, oh, okay, let's talk about like, you can do content marketing so you can protect your kids, or this and that. It's just, it just depends on the research that you do. If you see that these are the objections that people care about, if you see these are the problems people have, if you do your research, if you do your, voice of customer or analysis, and if you look at what people are struggling with, you will know how much you can lean into those things, and you'll get a feeling of like how heavy or hard hitting you should be with your copy regarding that particular pain point, right? So you will know how much time you should spend on one pain point over another because you're doing your research. So it's less like when are you more emotional or not? It's just more knowing your audience, knowing what they care about, and speaking about the things that they care about and meeting them where they already are, right? So it's less like be more emotional now, or because it's like, if you're like, I think if you're thinking it from a perspective like, oh, when should I be emotional? I think you're doing it the other way around. I think you should know the things that they care about. And then if you talk about the things they care about, it becomes emotional because their emotions are attached to these things that, that matter to them. If you're like, oh, what emotion should I use? I think you're going at it from like an inverse direction. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna tack on, was just you can only be as super viscerally emotional as the person who cares about the thing is feeling. Like there is no, like if I'm just a teenage boy and I have learned about content writing and I want to make a bit of extra money, I'm not worrying about my kids because they don't exist. All right. Like I'm not worrying about like saving for retirement or getting the most or getting back at the IRS. Like I'm just like, it'd be cool to buy a PlayStation 5 and not worry about it. But that can be just as emotional as not wanting your kids to die. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like I know that sounds stupid, but like it's only as emotional as much as they care about the thing. And if my only if the only thing that I have that's relative is God, I'm sick of like going to school and I wish I had a PlayStation 5, I'll fork out as much money and stuff as I can on something that's telling me I can do those things, just as much as someone who's 60 wants to like bend over and play with their grandkids in the garden, right? Like you just, as Luke said, you need to go to what they're already thinking about rather than how can I make this more emotional. It can only be as emotional as they are about the thing they care about.
This is such a fantastic point. I think that's such an important thing to talk about too, because we will often see nowadays young people talking about, oh my God, I want Bugattis. I want to be able to like get on a private jet or whatever. And that sounds kind of like dumb to us if we're like 30 or whatever, and like you're 16,
older
you
than
don't even
20.
have a driver's. Yeah. If you've like graduated from high school and you are in the adult world and you're like, you look at that and you're like, why? You can't even drive a car yet. Why do you want a Bugatti? But I think the way that we have to understand that as marketers and people who want to speak to these audiences is like that thing they're talking about is a reflection of an internal feeling. And that feeling is the same thing that someone who wants to have something to leave for their grandchildren. And so we just have to understand that it's like the way in which that feeling manifests itself is just going to be different for every audience. But it's the same thing.
Yeah, like we can't create the emotion. We can only channel it to our products and services, right? It's what Eugene Schwartz says about desire, and it's the same with like emotion, because desire and emotion are obviously linked together. It's like you can't just forge that, right? You can't manufacture it. You just got to know what people care about. That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
Yeah, Black Friday.
Guys, that was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed that. I thought that we would be done by like I was a little worried that we'd be done by like 3:45 and be like, all right, there's nothing else to say about Black Friday or seasonal deals or anything. So
we always get in the groove. So
guys, that's a good spot to end this lovely and delightful episode of Copy That about how to excel and exceed everybody's expectations come seasonal selling, especially Black Friday, but also Easter, and also All Saints Day, and also Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and basically any holiday that exists. You can use the tactics that we've been talking about in this particular episode.
Merry Christmas Kwanzaa, or Christmas Hako Kwanzaa.
Christmas Hana Kwanzaa. Get it right.
Christmas Hana Kwanzaa.
We sound like Sims characters. Jesus Christ.
Exactly.
Christmas Hana Kwanzaa.
Christmas Hana Kwanzaa. Christmas Hanukkah Kwanzaa and Ramadan.
It's like a dinosaur they'd find a thigh bone of in Argentina.
And then like incorrectly assemble the whole skeleton based on that one bone, and then say, yeah, this is what this dinosaur looked like, and then discover 100 years later that it looked nothing like that, which is exactly what happened to most dinosaurs, actually. So go figure.
Sean's got a bone to pick. I wasn't even going for a pun, but I went for a pun. Sean's got a bone to pick with
paleontologists.
Paleontologists, that's the one. What is it? Yeah.
I actually do, but that is for an episode for another time. Maybe a casual stream. I'll go on a paleontology rant.
Oh.
God.
Okay.
Anyway,
I need to go.
Yeah, this was an episode of Copy That. We love you. We appreciate you watching our stuff. We hope you take advantage of and benefit from the information that we are sharing for free. And if you are able to do that and want to expand your career either faster or go a little bit deeper on any of the topics that we cover, we do that for $20 with the patreon.com/thecopythatshow. So if you want to do that, you can. If not, I hope you have a wonderful day. Go make some money. Have a wonderful week. And of course, because the holidays are coming up, have a lovely holiday season. Like, sincerely and legitimately, we hope that everything that you go through over the next couple of months is fulfilling, delightful, and either helps you skill up so that you can make money, or just plain old helps you make money. So there you go.
Thank you very much, everyone. Love you all.
So long.